how apartments could start trying to conserve water or bring in the best measures that we can practice. We have several examples that we discussed. Dr. U.V.K. Rao had mentioned about uh, 20 colonies, 20 colonies near his residence in Madipakam in Chennai, and some of the residences that he was a part in the past. Now, the challenge that we are trying to get into is how do we really assimilate this information. First of all, assimilate whatever has been done, and it has to be understood by every one of us, so that we try and do something at our end. Because we have been listening to many of our members on several aspects, but yet we are unable to get to the level of how do we implement it, what to implement, when to implement, and all that. So any quick thoughts on what do you say, the mode of our meetings now, and how do we really get into a mode of uh, you know adopting these kind of solutions? There are lots and lots of solutions, technologies we have been sharing across on Tech Talk series and many more such interactions. How do we really get to a stepwise approach or a structured approach for implementing these kind of solutions that would be definite, that would be of great value to each one of us? So with this, I would like to, request a few of you to share your thoughts. Probably, Mary, if you have some quick thoughts to give us on how this is going. We had several discussions in the past. Are we going the right direction? Are we trying to get some quick solutions? Do you have any suggestions on this?
We are most excited. Thank you, Kalagi, for including me here and for just the energy that comes from these WOW sessions that gets all of our team excited. And what's beautiful, and I think Hari has shown from the start, is people will support an environment they help create. And that's what you did with the start of the Chennai group. And by laying out the very real need, the fact that you could be a day zero city, and we're actually saved by the water reuse and also through rainwater capture. So those are very critical activities. What I have seen works is when people see the successes at the start. I think having a very clear agenda for every meeting, we're going to share progress in each of these 4 areas that you're working on, and have the leaders, chime in with their progress reports. And then also, welcome during those progress reports, the obstacles potentially that people can then brainstorm on. So we've learned a great deal from you all. I need to do more of this myself in our community, and we view you as part of our community. So we also welcome you to join and share those things in the Global Waterworks group, where we hope to set up individual groups to support you.
In the Indian context, how do you think this is going to be possible? You might have done something in your community there, but given the nuances of this kind of a society in India, particularly Chennai, I think you might have gone through certain the aspects of this type of a society. Where do we have to start? Could be one suggestion, if you can throw some light on. We will have to go step by step, as I said, where to start, and what would be your that kind of a structured approach that will be applicable for this city of Chennai.
Yeah, well, I'd like to throw it off to my colleague here, Indrani Paul, who's been working on surveying people on what makes these initiatives happen, and is an expert in data. And I think comes out of Columbia University in New York. And Indrani, I'm hoping you're able to speak right here. I see that you're logged in, but I think she has.
I'm here. Thank you, Mary. Thank you. I'm doing multitasking. That's why not showing my face, but I'm very much here. No, thank you. So whenever, coming to your question, Mr. Sriprati, I do see that, this is very, very normal situation that we are talking about, and this is a good problem to have. And so how I see tackling these problems as like, we are basically talking about people. We all are people. And if we think about solutions and problems, I always tend to, and it's me, I always tend to start with myself and and people around me, having a conversation with them in a maybe in a different manner, and talking from the perspective of businesses.
Yeah.
For example, we talk about, when we develop a business model, we talk about value proposition, right? So we start with certain assumptions that this is my product and these are my bunch of customers who are going to adopt my solution. And then we go about going outside and talking to potential customers, and then come back with either a very cheerful mood that our assumption was validated, or maybe completely invalidated. But that doesn't stop there. While speaking to others and developing questionnaire, not really in a way that questioning and answering and that kind of sessions or interviews, but having conversation. So I know it's how I'm talking, it's very broad, but it could be made specific. Sort of like aligning value propositions, right? Like how we see would be bringing in value for communities versus how they see, right? So so that's my 2 cents, Mr. Sriprati, but we can talk at length about it maybe in another call or so. I'll be happy to do that. Thank you.
Thank you for your thoughts, quick thoughts, Indrani. And I think Nilesh wants to say something. Nilesh, can you say something?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Sripati Saab.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm continuously attending your webinar and all, and really happy that all our complete groups are concerned about the water issue. So what is
Can I have a short introduction on what you do?
Yeah, fine. Myself, Nilesh Sompura, I am doing the startup, and we have the complete exposure in SDG 6, water and sanitation. And we have very, very simple solutions, do-it-yourself kind of solution. Particularly in water, we have designed a saving method. There is a change of the method. That is not to use the water directly under the gravitational method. Instead, we have to bypass that the main line, gravitational line, to the secondary tank, and from that secondary tank we have to take up from small pump to pump out that water and take water, use the water from pumping.
You have a technology with you, Mr. Nilesh?
Yeah.
You have a technology with you, I believe.
Yeah. I have said everything to Hari Haran sir. Is very much with them, and I can share with you also. So that is the best way to use the water, by pumping up from the lower level, from the tap to the through the pump to the tap. So that will swipe out all complete 100% leak proof, reduce the pressure, and you can have the comfort of the switching on off. That is, the pump should be used by foot switch. So there is no need to touch anything.
What is your thought on going towards 1,000 crore liter water saving? City of Chennai. Where do we have to start? What is your quick response?
See, we are all putting our efforts to do the harvesting by convincing the people individually by using that terrace or ground or whatever it is. Why not we? This is a just flash idea came in my mind. Instead of doing that, can we do a drainage system that is a totally separate rainwater drainage system, where we have to divert every individual house or terrace or that water, rainwater towards that the common drainage water in the society or in the village or like that. And that water can be, to as per the topography, it will, as for the lower level, it will go to the river or maybe a lake or maybe a ground well or borewell or anywhere. So instead of calling every
we will
people
keep
to
this point. We will keep this point right now with for further discussion right now. And
yeah, so this is a matter
Mr.
of a civil
Seshik,
engineer. Civil engineer, I just say
yeah,
the flash idea to have a common rain drainage, separate drainage, particularly dedicated for the rainwater drainage, and that you can collect and you can take to the drive up to that required as per the topography and as per the slope of that. Yeah, and then
I
you can
would request you
reuse. Yeah,
to I
yes,
would
sir.
request you to share some quick case studies that you have with you on how this has been implemented by several people in which part of the country and so on, so that we can try and adopt it in city of Chennai.
Yeah.
Thank you,
No, so
Mr. Giresh. Just hold on.
it is only a flash idea. A flash idea. It has not yet been implemented anywhere. I'm just sharing the thoughts to
We
the
will try
all
and discuss
members.
this. Yeah, we will keep note of this, and we'll try and discuss this in the next coming meetings as well.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Hariran, for joining, though you had several other activities to complete and join this. Thanks for joining once again.
Thank you so much, sir.
Shripati
Best wishes.
sir, Seshagiri
Thank
here.
you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Shripati, Seshagiri here. Is it okay to talk or should I
Yeah,
wait?
you need to share some quick thoughts on
Yeah. So I'm just sharing.
what I posed a question on. How do we really structure this? We know we have several ideas, solutions, technologies, and all that.
Yes.
Where do we start? What would be the quick success rate in case we call something like that for the city of Chennai? And I believe you have been doing something for the city of Chennai in your apartment. Let us hear from you quickly on what you have done.
Yeah, so I have been doing this since last 1 year. So what happens is rain harvesting is one of the aspect which needs a lot of infrastructure. But at my level, at an individual level, if I look into it, what I can do. So what happens is every one of us have water filter, RO water filter, and we know the ratio of the water purification versus the drain. So what I have done is that without using pumps, without using anything, only gravity. Okay, as you know that these water filters are installed at a much higher place in our kitchen or wherever room. So I have done my own exercise. For 1 liter of water, the drain is almost 3 to 3.5 liters. Okay, depending upon the model. Even I have checked with HUL, I have checked with Aquaguard, I have checked with Kent, and this varies between, the minimum is 3. Okay, and a family of 4 or 5 will need at least 15 to 20 liters of drinking water. Okay, so now what I have done is the discharge pipe, okay, of the water filter, I have initially started collecting into buckets, okay, and use these buckets for washing machine. But then a time came when the buckets were filling very fast because we need a lot of water, especially in summer season or if you're having growing children. So what I did is, if you use a washing machine, okay, any washing machine will have 2 inlets. One is the hot pipe inlet and one is the cold pipe inlet. Okay, so the major hurdle comes is that when I go and want to implement my idea, however enthusiastic we might be, we are a bit lazy in adopting or modifying or changing anything. We just want everything at our served hot and to my desk. So I did one more small modification. So generally we are connecting to the cold pipe, right, for the normal supply. I put a T-joint and one small reservoir of 10 liters, okay, and with a small valve, which is costing only 250 to 300 rupees, okay. And when this tank gets filled because of gravity, okay, once the tank is filled, the overflowing of the tank can be again connected to a bucket, or when the tank reservoir is filled with the exhaust, with the discharge of the water filter, we can select the mode in the washing machine cold. That's it. and the valve is
Okay.
key valve is connected, and the water can be used for using the washing machine, because washing machine, you know, that is the biggest
So
consumer
since
of
1 year, what is the amount of water that you have collected? And probably this is the direct saving that can happen. What is the volume that you have collected?
Sir, I must, in a day, I can say that I collect almost near to 100 liters of water. That is 5 buckets of big buckets of water I collected.
So how many people
Five.
are in your home? How many
We
of you are?
are a family of 5.
5. Okay.
Okay.
So,
And you know, we all are working. So during the Corona times, we have our baths almost 2 times. So we all are working. I am working. My wife is working, and my children have to go to school. So there is a huge load of water on the washing machine. Okay.
yeah.
So
Thanks, Mr. Seshagiri. Just park this idea right now. Let us hear from other members
yes,
as well.
yes,
We
sir.
have Mr. Bhargav Gopal. You are able to hear me, sir, Mr. Bhargav Gopal? Mr. Bhargav, can you unmute and speak? Mr. Bhargav Gopal happens to be the honorary treasurer of the Ramnagar South Rajajinagar Madipakam Residents Association. It's a association in the southern part of Chennai city, and we have been introduced to Mr. Bhargav Gopal through Mr. UVK Rao. And Mr. Bhargav, can you share your thoughts
Are
on
you
what
able
Mr.
to hear me
Seshagiri?
now?
Yeah, we are able to hear you. So kindly share
Okay.
your thoughts on what Mr. Seshagiri wants to do or has been doing in his apartment. Suppose you are saying you are at your residential association as a secretary, honorary treasurer. What
Okay.
you would like to do with this kind of a system that Mr. Seshagiri is saying, collecting the RO reject water and trying to utilize it wherever and whenever possible. Your thoughts, Mr. Bhargav.
Yeah. See, what he said is quite, everybody knows that, because once we switch on the RO, there's a lot of wastewater. I think he said 1:3 ratio or something like that. Am I correct?
Yeah, say 1:2.
No, he says for 1 liter of filtered water, around 3 liters or 4 liters get wasted. Am I right?
Correct.
Okay. But you see, in the modern kitchen,
Yeah.
we are having the modular kitchen, and the washing machine is elsewhere, maybe in the next other room. In many places, the washing machine and the RO are not in the same room.
That's true.
So washing machine in my own apartment, washing machine is in the living room, the drawing room, and in the RO is in the kitchen. So to collect that water and bring it to the washing machine.
Sir, just to answer you, what I've done is that this civil contractors use one transparent pipe. Okay. So that is costing just 8 rupees per meter. Okay. And using the gravity, because we are here, we are not using any pump or any fittings or anything. In my home also, the kitchen is in one place and the bathroom is another place where the washing machine is placed. It is almost 4 meters away. Okay. But still the water easily flows to this transparent pipe. Okay. You can see whether the water is flowing or also. And because it is flowing through the gravity, what I did is that I have kept my reservoir at certain height, it's like an engineering, a basic engineering. So we can just collect the water from the drain and can be collected to a reservoir which is placed very near to the washing machine. Because what happens is the washing machine needs a certain kind of flow rate.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for the interruption.
Yeah.
You see,
Please go ahead,
let
sir.
us say the kitchen height is about 9 feet. Okay.
Okay.
Then the RO RO is around let us say 6.5, around 7 feet, 2 feet below the ceiling. Am I right?
Yes, sir. You're right.
And then the rejected water flows downwards.
Yes.
Okay. Now,
Yes.
collecting it, you are collecting it in buckets.
No, I used to collect in buckets. Now I made a small, what you say, arrangement, wherein which this water which is coming out of the drain directly goes to the cold pipe of the washing machine, which is at 4 feet.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
the outlet pipe,
Mr.
the
Bhargav,
outlet
Mr.
pipe is
Bhargav,
above the. No, I got it. The outlet pipe is above the washing machine, correct?
Yeah, slightly above the washing machine because I wanted to use the gravity.
And there you have kept a small tank. Am I right?
Yes, a reservoir. Yes.
Oh, okay.
I
And
would request.
The reason is there is a technical
I would
reason.
request Mr. Sheshagiri, hold on. I would request
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Bhargav to visit Mr. Sheshagiri's apartment
Yes.
and have a quick feel of what it is. That will clarify all your doubts, Mr. Bhargav. And Mr. Bhargav, how many apartments are there at your association, sir?
No, only four.
Only 4. And there are several, big apartments near your residence in Madipakam.
Not many, but coming up. Not
Okay.
many.
Okay, so let us park this thought here, saying that the reject water from RO, which is 3 liters for every liter of water that we consume, is going to be available for us. And
Yes.
it is a question of simple.
It is very important that we do conserve that water in some way or the other, because that is always going as a waste.
Correct. So that's the reason we are trying to assemble
Some
here.
way or
And,
other, we have to collect that.
that's the reason we would like to share thoughts like this, what Mr. Sheshagiri is saying, and you can also try and implement at your apartment, and we will calculate all this over a period of time.
Other than that, see, I'm having terrace garden. Okay. Now, this reject water, as you say, can be collected in buckets, and that can be used for planting the for watering the plants also. That is also another way
Sir,
of.
but major challenge comes is that
There is a
lifting
limitation
the
there.
bucket. Yeah, lifting the bucket, going up to the terrace, old people, this gets neglected, sir. It's get totally neglected. Okay.
So
See, may I make an intervention, Mr. About, I think there is some very Sheshagiri and yeah, there's an excellent discussion seems to be developing here. There are obviously Mr. Sheshagiri has implemented and he has seen the benefit, and that is why he is able to talk about it. But certainly he may have certain advantages in his apartment which has benefited him. But certain others may have different challenges. So this may be a good opportunity. But I think the basic benefit is very obvious. How do we use the RO water reject, right? Which is 3 times what we are drinking. And maybe we can throw down a challenge to the teams, I mean, to the participants here. And each person can go and explore how he can do it in his own apartment, looking at the challenges that he has. And come back in the next few meetings and share their success stories, which can inspire a lot more people. Right?
Yes,
and,
if we can make a small video.
Yes.
If we can make a small
idea.
video and do it, then our understanding will be much better.
I think Sheshagiri, probably you can make a video and share it in the group after this call.
Sir. I'll do that.
We can circulate it. Okay, and we can actually, this is a challenge we can throw to the Chennai participants, not only those who are present at the forum, but to mobilize people in the neighborhood and come back and say, look, this is something which we were successfully able to do. And we can total up all the potential water saving.
Yes.
And one
something, let's create some.
One common question which we have been getting is RO reject water good for plants?
Sir, it is extremely good. Sir, it is extremely good. And I just sorry to overstep, but just 2 points which I wanted to make. So what happens is because I studied this. So what happens is in any big apartments, if it is a gated community, anything above 10 or 12, okay, what happens is that there is a common shaft. They call it as common shaft. That is the area where all the utility works, that the gas connection comes, the drainage comes, the drinking water comes, everything comes there. Okay. So just by connecting a small half-inch PVC, Now you look at the car, okay? You use the car for cleaning, okay? You give the water which is and use that water for cleaning your car, okay?
Yeah.
That has high TDS, okay? But RO filter water doesn't have high TDS because it has gone through the entire process of rejection and cleaning and all those things, okay?
Yeah.
So what happens is this water, just by connecting an half-inch pipe through the entire thing and one small adapter, of course I have not implemented it, but I am talking to my society and I have given my thought to that. And you know that this doesn't get easily accepted because of the other challenges, and like-minded people don't come so easily on this common forum. So what we are trying to do is, if this water directly goes down, okay, there are 150 to 200 cars, okay, and this guy goes around the garden, walks some 10 to 15 feet to get one water, okay, but this almost there are 4 blocks in my apartment. The water is easily available for the gardening, for the cleaning of cars, for anything which you want. And this is, imagine that if I am able to save this much, imagine the entire apartment. Yeah.
Mr.
Sheshgiri, I think Chandra has something to say. Let me also add, my name is Hariharan. Like Mr. Nandakumar said, see, this whole issue of RO, we need a committee to be formed, a small one. There are other issues. You know, you talked about TDS. Let me tell you that if it is RO reject water, the world knows there are enough studies, and our Mr. Chandrasekhar will also talk about it from Watson. Up to 5,000 to 8,000 ppm of salts, because they are concentrated salts that emerge after you have done your reverse osmosis treatment. What does that mean? In one house, if you take only say 120 liters of RO water for drinking or whatever purposes, the rest 3x of that, 60 liters of that per home multiplied by 365, you will get 22,000 liters per home. Which means if you have got, let us say, 100 homes in an apartment, that means what? 22 lakh liters per annum, 2.2 million liters for every 100 flats, if my mathematics is right. 22,000 into 100, that's 22 lakhs, right? Therefore, please understand that this water cannot be used directly for car wash, because if you wash the car with that, it will leave a film, a glaze like one film it will leave on the car. You can see it yourself if you are using car for car wash. Second point is, see, in your house, it will be 60 liters. You cannot do it alone. If you want to use it for common purpose like car wash and all that, then you have to have a complicated system of having to collect the RO reject water at some point and then utilize it. Instead, it is better to use it in a way that, like I said, we find a way. Second point is, RO reject water can be conditioned. DRDO has come up with a simple system. It costs approximately 1,000 to 1,200 rupees. They are the only suppliers today in the country. We can refer you, WOW platform will refer you to something like that. We will talk to Mr. Sripati. He will enable you on that one. Last one is on the plants. You cannot use it for plants. Rick Bacon knows this. Maybe he wants to speak, or Chandra wants to speak on why you can't use it for plants. Chandra, please.
Sir, my point is, let us build it brick by brick. Simply
louder, please.
Let us say it brick by brick, sir. See, simply just saying RO reject, we have to understand what is the source water's TDS. Some area, without even knowing that RO TDS will be hardly 200 or 300. In spite of that, they'll use a RO machine. Maybe that reject has a lower TDS, which will not really affect anything. Some area it may be 2,800. So we can't straight away generalize saying that the reject could be used on washing machine, which will kill the washing machine. All the pipeline, what this gentleman is saying, will build up scaling. All the magnesium carbonate or calcium carbonate are again scaling, totally plugging the whole way and damaging the whole line system. This cannot be generalized, and this cannot be taken for a sample or a great example for every emulate. Basically, the mistake we do is not understanding what is my source water, what is the TDS, and then see whether it could be applicable for one application or other. That is my call. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir, just for the record, from last I am an engineer by profession, that too an instrumentation engineer. And from last 1.5 year, 1 year to be very precise, we are using it. But till now, we have not even done any kind of servicing to my washing machine. Okay, and neither I have been, even cleaning the what is it?
Mr.
Just the
Velugari,
filters.
we are not contesting
Acha.
what you're doing.
Yeah.
We'll rest the case.
No,
there.
I'm just
We will
sharing my
get-
thoughts, sir.
Sure,
I'm
sure.
just
Hey,
sharing my thoughts. Yeah.
Yeah. Mr. Sheshagiri, your point is
Sir,
taken. I don't
luckily
think
in
you are
your
in
place
any.
it has worked good. What I'm trying
Right.
is we cannot generalize and have this as a model for everybody else to have. Everywhere we
Quote Mr.
source
Nandakumar.
water and then create a right solution. We are not
Yeah.
idea. It's a brilliant
Correct.
idea. You have saved water. Kudos to you. The thing is, all water, all rejects are not alike. That is my.
Yeah.
And again, for
Absolutely.
using it for car wash or plants, it's a very demonous idea. Let's not get into all those type of.
Back to you, Mr. Nandakumar.
Let us not
Yeah,
get
I think both are saying the same thing. Sheshagiri, what you're saying is it is working for you. What Chandra is saying is just because it's working for you, it need not work for everybody else. Both of you are on the same side. There is no dispute there. But I think the moot point is that do we know what is the RO reject water quality before we start applying in different applications? So that's something we can easily do. A TDS meter is there. We can check it. I'm sure we can, because it's a lot of water. I think the important thing is also that do we waste it simply because we don't think it is fit for use, or do we test it and then decide how to use it? Maybe it can work for car wash, maybe for floor cleaning, maybe for it depends on the as Chandra clearly said, the raw water quality, and that also varies with seasons. It doesn't mean that in rainy season the water quality is the same as what you get in summers. So a little bit of caution is required is the point that Chandra is making. And I think we should take that feedback and move forward in this case.
Thank you, Nandakumar.
Yeah, thanks, Hari.
Thank you, Nandakumar. Now we have two more residential complex office bearers. We have Dr. Supriyo, who's a physiotherapist, I believe. This has been shared by Dr. UVK Rao. Dr. Supriya, are you there? Would you like to share something?
Yes, sir, I'm here. I'm Supriya, listening to the conversation. It was really good that I'm listening to the conversation, how people like portray things from every side. I really appreciate it. Actually,
Any
from my
quick
end,
thoughts on?
yes, actually from my end, we don't use RO at my home. I do the traditional way of like cleaning, like using the copper pots and everything, and use the regular water from the government system. So I do not use the RO water at my home. And also we make sure all the water that goes out goes to the sink pit around our house. So there are 4 sink pits inside our area. So for the wastewater drainage, that's all I can contribute as of right now, but it's so good to hear about things like this.
Being a doctor, what is
Yes.
your suggestion, Dr. Supriya, on the usage of these machines for water purification?
Yeah.
And we know that you're not using the in your apartments.
Yeah.
What do you think is happening to the country or to the world when people are using these now?
Actually, there are so many studies out there that the RO water, totally purified RO water, are not recommended for the people. Little minerals needed to be there in the water that we drink. But there is also another side that if more minerals are there, it will also be harmful. So we have to make sure how good quality of water we are using first before we figure out whether we do use the RO or not. Accordingly, we have to like purchase the RO which suits for our water quality. That's what I think so, because just ROing every single water that we receive will not be a good result. And also we need minerals. We really need minerals, and water is a good source or like flow that can like enrich us with minerals. Yeah, that's what my thought is.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Please keep listening to your conversations, and we would like to hear from you also.
Yep. Yeah. Okay, sure. Thank you.
We have one Mr. Om Karthik. Are you there, Mr. Om Karthik? Mr. Om Karthik, he's also a Chennai resident, and he has been part of the office bearers of his Association, the Embassy Residents Association. Dr. UV Rao was part of embassy apartments in the past. And would you like to share something, Mr. Karthik? Om Karthik, are you there? Anyway, until he comes back, we have a few questions that has come up on the chat box on every technology is available and all that. What are the social, institution, and political conditions that shape utilization of these technologies? That's a common question that has come up, and Rick Bacon has shared this question to all of us. Any quick thoughts? Mr. Sanjay Gupta, would you like to say something on this? Mr. Sanjay Gupta?
Hello. Yeah.
Hello.
Can you once please repeat your question?
May I know who's speaking? May I know who's speaking?
I am Sanjay Gupta from Hyderabad. Are you referring to me?
Yeah. I'm referring to, but I'm not seeing your name. That's why I asked you again.
My name is there. Can you please repeat your question?
Question is, we have umpteen number of technologies, but what are the social, institutional, political conditions that we need to, go through for shaping up of, these technologies in terms of implementation? I hope you have listened to the question.
Yes, I'm good now.
Yeah.
With reference to the various technologies available, I must say that it's a little pity that we are aware very little about these technologies as a common man.
Okay.
If I go to any outlet to buy an RO system or any water purification system, they have zero knowledge. They cannot guide us. Even so, the government and political situations, water is a socio economic issue in India.
Okay.
It's not something that it's a political issue. In Hyderabad, every household gets 20,000 liters, 20 KLD free of any cost, without any cost. Okay. So it's a political issue. Okay. Political matter. So we really need to see how our systems we can synchronize between the technologies available, how we can educate.
I think Mr. Sanjay Gupta, are you part of IPA?
I would be part. I am in the process, not yet.
So currently, what you have been working on? What is your field of activity?
We are mostly into fecal management, that is the STP part, and wastewater management system.
Okay, Mr. Sripati, let me also step in here to tell you that Sanjay Gupta is the prospective mission director for Wow Action Forum, Hyderabad.
Okay.
And he's planning to launch it, he says, by sometime in March. While he also runs a green solution providing company, does wastewater, etc. Sanjay, thank you for your intervention. I'll go back to, you have to take back the mic, Sripati, and see how you want to start from here. As far as RO water, I'll give you only one more example. Since Dr. Supriya spoke about, mineralizing of water and what the human body needs. Yeah. Normally, RO water after treatment will have less than 7 or 8 as TDS goes, as salts go. Your system, my system, any human being, any living species on earth has about 68 minerals. And therefore, what did the Delhi government do? And I put a link there. Delhi government said, you cannot sell an RO water system. They banned it. Tatas and others came in and said, look, we will put now an activated carbon filter and a miniature pressure sand filter, ACF and PSF, in order to remineralize the water. They did that. Now, which means what? You cannot drink, all RO companies are admitting it. You cannot drink RO water straight away because there are no salts at all. It is like drinking distilled water that you use for batteries. Over to you back again, Mr. Sripati.
So similarly, the experience that we had in the last few days where we were at some plant in Pondicherry, industrial plant, they are doing some work on ferro alloys. We were amazed to see that the water, drinking water, through the bottled water which they are purchasing, when we saw the TDS values, it is 30 ppm. Bottled water is available at 30 ppm. Chandrasekhar, you will jump immediately onto that now. I know that on this is like this and so on. But even when we have tested this water in our own facility, 30 ppm it is showing, then why we are drinking it? What is the big reason that we should do this on alone? We have lots of borewell water available with us. Why don't we do something from that and bring it to 200 ppm, 300 ppm? Bring it.
Yeah. Okay. You may want to invite other people who have implemented solutions.
Yeah. So right now, this is some sort of a thought that we need to carry forward on RO to do something, inlet, output, rejection, and all that. Om Karthik, I don't know whether he's listening to us. He's also a part of the residents welfare.
He's very much there. If you have to go to the second panel for you to see him. Om Karthik is there.
Yeah, I am able to see him, but he's not answering what we are asking for.
He's muted. Yes.
And,
maybe you want to request UV Krishna to respond at this juncture if he has any views.
Dr. Rao, Dr. UVK Rao, are you there?
Krishna?
I think he's busy with assignment already. So that's what he was saying. He would chip in between if possible.
He's there, but I can see him there. Okay.
Yeah.
Who is also not stepping in.
Mr. Suresh Rai joined initially, and he was, upbeat in saying that he was in Chennai for 40 years, and there are no welfare, federation like BAF in Bangalore. There are no federations in Chennai.
Mr. Suresh Pai, not Suresh Rai. Mr. Suresh Pai, he's.
Yeah, Suresh Pai. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we have anything in Chennai? I'm not asking Suresh Pai, but anybody else who would say some or throw some light on this, on federations in Chennai for buildings? Do we have something like that?
Is there any? Yeah. Okay. Maybe Suresh Pai himself knows.
Yes.
No. I was just telling to Sripati before the meeting started that one advantage Bangalore has is that we have that BAF. So BAF members can contribute to water conservation in the form of rainwater harvesting, water aerators, because they normally once in a year they canvass for this product just to showcase some of the new technology available. Mm-hmm. So such federation is not available in Chennai. This is what I was just talking to him.
The federation is not available, but the individual RWAs are there, the resident welfare associations, and most of them are trying to join these sessions in the last couple of weeks or the last fortnight.
Clearly, there is a need. Clearly, there is a need for a federation of these associations or societies in Chennai. Maybe it will come up someday, somewhere. If you, with all the the community steering that you're doing now at WOW, if you can bring it to a point where over the next say 5-6 months, you are able to get a few leaders to think about creating such a federation, we can help you. People like Suresh Pai, Satish Malya, I don't know if he's here. These are all people who can definitely come in and help you on that, to guide some of the frameworks for that. Maybe Mr. Nandakumar wants to speak about that. It could be a good, goal to keep for WOW Chennai.
Nandakumar, are you there?
Sorry. Yeah, I didn't catch the last part.
No, just to say that, for Chennai in 2022, WOW Chennai can possibly consider, stimulating some of the community leaders, citizen leaders, to create a federation of all these apartments in Chennai.
True. I suspect there are some already existing. This is what I came to know, but your point is taken. If it is not so well known, then it's not effective. So we will get that going. Okay. And maybe in the next meeting, we will share some thoughts on that and some results.
Thank you.
Rick was sharing lots of insights or chats in the chat box. Rick, would you like to come in?
Oh, he has said no. I asked earlier. He's saying no. Yeah, he's listening. In fact, even Muni Raval will not speak. He will all listen. They'll come back with observations, but they're all good at their job. Yeah.
Dr. Rao, Dr. UVK Rao, are you in a position to speak now?
No, he's not there. Any other people as people who have implemented solutions that who wants to speak? Mumta, they are not there. You're right about the couple. In fact, Mr. Sripati also knows them. Thank you, Ravalji. Yeah, go on, please speak.
Thanks for allowing me. Sir, all this technology, we are at a stage at global level that technology should help to survive and not profit. Number one. In 2012, San Diego installed 100 MLD desalination plant. 100 MLD. Then in 2016, they added one more. In 2017, they added third more, 100 MLD each. In 2019, discontinued all the three. You see, we should know, today, learning is easiest. I am running 77. And today I find learning the most easiest thing because everything is in your palm.
Okay.
We should know what to ask. Google doesn't teach us what to ask.
Sure.
Now, if we see the San Diego water supply system, because RO manufacturers, they do not cater to a particular tailor-made requirement. And living system did not appear, did not origin in the chemically pure H2O. There is no pure H2O other than in our laboratory.
I got that, Ravalji. It's a far longer discussion, but I will ask you one question.
Please.
You said technology should not be IPR based and that it has to be available in ways that we do not have a few companies controlling the products and pricing and such things, especially in water. Did you say that right? Have I understood you right?
No. So Mr. Chandra very rightly initially said that what is the raw water? Based on the report, what is the sensitivity of the equipment that we are trying to fix it? And what is the demand of the body?
Okay, sure. Understood. Got that. And I'm with you. Yeah. Dr. Indrani Pal, do you want to come in at this point of time on this concern on technology, IPR owned, and like Chandra said earlier on a chat box comment, advertising leads us to make bad decisions because of our ignorance. Indrani.
Hari, you caught me right at right on time. Actually, in the beginning, I was definitely speaking about I'm not sure what the name of this gentleman is, Mooney's Galaxy.
Mr. Raval, Muni Raval, his name is.
So yeah, I completely agree with how he started his conversation. Oftentimes, I was talking about in the beginning, the value proposition question. So when we are developing a product or when we are developing, any idea, right? We have certain types of assumptions that, this would be well received by the audience for XYZ reasons, right? So, however, that when that gets invalidated, we get, more frustrated. So how about, we start with our own community or maybe ourselves, asking what makes me believe in this technology? Why should I be?
Indrani, I know you are very comfortable inhabiting those rarefied spaces, but we are talking to communities here, people here who are owners of apartments. They need solutions. Question to you. This IPR-led kind of RO technologies from a Tata or Bata or whoever, is that the right way to go? How should consumers become a little more aware and guarded in their approach to buying water treatment systems? Over to you, Indrani. Should I repeat the question? No.
I think it's a good question to ask, consumers themselves if they understand all this terminology, first of all. And I do see, a couple of disconnects here. Like one is that, I'm sure, we have consumers over here, but I would like to, ask them to raise their hands and ask them if they actually understand what this technology mean for them, or, what.
Let's ask Dr. Supriya then. Dr. Supriya, as a consumer, while being also a doctor, physician, or somebody who understands the human body, Dr. Supriya, you're there? Dr. Supriya?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just unmuting, sir.
Yeah. The reason is, I didn't want to ask the entire question and not have you there.
Yeah.
So, you heard Dr. Indrani. Indrani is, he's in Columbia University. She's talking from New Jersey just now. Mr. Raval is in Surat. He was an NGT member, a member of the National Green Tribunal on water. He's an expert of many years, and I know him wonderfully for many years. He's a limnologist, 1967 limnologist. He's therefore, between engineers and these wonderful people called architects. And, he comes in as a water scientist in that sense. Okay, back to you, Dr. Supriya.
Yeah.
How should a consumer become a little more wary and aware, both, of all these wonderful systems that are available in the marketplace? What should they do?
Okay, you mean the systems that are related to the water processing?
Yes, anything that we buy related to water, you can extend it to air conditioners, things like that.
Anyway, so I personally believe as every individual has the right to live in the society or the world, every individual, like everything in the water, like living environment, like all the fishes and everybody has to have their own home. We couldn't just go ahead and pour the acids and solutions on their environment. We can at least take few and eat it. We have the rights to it as a carnivore, but we are not supposed to just pour it down and collapse the whole environment where they live in. I totally disagree with that one. That's one of the reasons I do not use a lot of chemicals at home, and I try to use the traditional one because as a person, I want to make the change that starts with me, so that whatever the water goes out of my house, the fish should be happy about it. So that's what I will always think about and work on it. But I don't know how people think about and perceive it. Based on that, they have to go for whatever the things.
Hanji, got that. Your point is taken. For want of time, I'm stopping you.
Yeah. You don't mind. Based on that, they have to figure out what they want for them to buy.
Understood. Got it. Process. Look at Rick Bacon. He's interestingly saying this. He says it's unrealistic to expect consumers to understand what water treatment technologies are about. When we do not expect them to understand how a mobile phone works, how on earth do you expect them to do other things, he says. Mr. Jeet Kumar Gupta, namaskar. Thank you for being here. He's a wonderful man. He's an author of multiple books on urban planning. He is the father of, he's been working on Chandigarh's master plan for years and years. Over to you, Jeet Kumar ji. How do you respond to this peculiar problem we have got on people not being aware and these big companies foisting these wonderful RO systems upon us? Since our mission director here, Sripati, has decided to make RO the theme of today's discussion. You have to unmute, please.
Yes, RO has been discussed a lot, and RO has been considered as the most wasteful, water wasteful system of purification. Therefore, all the experts have categorically said RO should be avoided. But nevertheless, like in Punjab, they have put RO in every village, They are trying to put it. It's a government thing without realizing that how much water is wasted in terms of this and what things are lost. But I think the question remains very relevant, and what you have suggested, I think it needs an education. It needs a detailing. People need to be made aware, because it is a people only work on hearsay. They don't analyze, don't understand, they don't analyze, they don't value water, They are only looking at that how much pure water they are getting. That's what the context remains.
Point taken. Let me tell you, Mr. Jeet Kumar Gupta just now was saying that only in rural Punjab RO systems have been installed. In every city, in Bangalore, we have about 680 to 700 water ATMs, they are called. You go to any railway station, you got a water ATM. And what is that water? It is RO water again. How much is the reject water? 3 times.
3 times.
Back to you, Mr. Seshagiri. You're an engineer, but you're not from the mechanical or not from the water domain of engineering, shall we say. What would your take be now after having heard all these other experts? Mr. Seshagiri Velumuri.
Yeah, I may not be an eminent professor kind of a thing. Okay, I'm just a basic engineer who is just trying to contribute something. What I would say is, I look at it in this way. Yeah, what is available to us and what we are doing about it. Because implementing a policy is a 5 years agenda, 10 years agenda. Even the mature countries like Germany, UK, US, Australia have failed miserably in removing the RO from their from their kitchens. Okay,
sure.
They have done immense work, but still, if you look at any of these countries, you will find an RO system sitting there in their kitchen or in their office. Okay, so what I say is this: when because the mission for me is what attracted me when Nandakumar sir called me is that we are on a mission to save water. The disruption of policies is, yes, I see that, okay, whether I'm doing something for my children or grandchildren, yes, this is the starting point. But now what we are doing, it's a simple system which is sitting at your home and we are just draining it. Sure. So what I say is, are we able to save it? That is the first agenda which we should take, and we should build our entire, because I come from the marketing background, I say that we cook a story around this, that how much you drink and how much you waste, and maybe Sripati.
Very good point, Mr. Seshagiri. Let me make a commitment to you, Sripati, as the mission director there.
Yeah.
Between now and the next edition of yours, which is 2 Thursdays from now, the team from whatever, they will give you, the research team will give you a complete short document on the upsides, downsides, there are no upsides really, of using RO. The second thing they will give you is, and I will get our Chandra, since he's laughing away, I'll make him also a person who will contribute to that. I will request our Ravalji to give us some, whatever kinds of repercussions of using RO. The other is, we will also give you a short list of alternatives for RO. If Mr. Seshagiri is told, please don't use RO water, he must also be told, in all fairness, what he should use in place of RO in his house. We will see how we can come back with that also. Over to you back again, Mr. Sripati. Yes, JK.
Hari, I think the basic question we should understand and address is, once the municipalities are supplying water, they are supposed to supply quality water. Even after that water is supplied and we are putting RO on their, on the tap itself. I think this needs to be checked, and all the agents, all the state local bodies which are responsible for supplying water, they must be made accountable and sellable. I am just coming to a point. I was in America. I went with my son. He started, the tap from the kitchen and started drinking it. I said, what the hell you do, Why are you not putting anything? He said, Papa, what are you doing, What are you saying? This is a water which is supplied. This is the purest form of water.
Absolutely. In fact, there are boards. If you go to New York City, there are boards which say that this water from the tap is purer than whatever. I can tell you, last week, Mr. Nandakumar presided over a meeting where he invited the principal secretary for water resources or for urban planning, I think, from Odisha, who has implemented the plan in Puri for drinking water off the tap. And you know what Mr. Mati said, the secretary? He said, the campaign says, drink water off the tap. It does not say 24/7 because that is implied, he says. And he's now doing that in Bhubaneswar. He's doing it in Cuttack also. In fact, that recording is available. We can share it with whoever you want. The other question is this, Mrs. Nandakumar, let me ask you as the CEO of the International Center for Clean Water, can I request you to look for somebody from the Delhi government who first, they were the first one in the country who banned RO water to a point where all the big companies from the Tatas to whoever else, they all tried everything to see that he will restore it. He said no. And the NGT has clearly backed what the Delhi state government did. Is there a person from there that we can invite for the WOW Chennai forum? Is something you must consider, Mr. Kumar.
Yeah, we will do that. See, this matter has been debated both sides, from the government side, the NGT side, as well as from the manufacturer side, right? So there is this concern. In fact, recently, let me tell you, we worked with the Andhra Pradesh government schools. Okay, I'm talking, taking a state government example here. And they said very clearly that there are two types of raw water quality. One is 400 ppm and below, and there are 400 and above. So they said, you give us two types of technologies, one for one category and one RO technology for the other one. As you rightly said, there is no viable alternative for RO today, though CDI is some technology we are promoting, but it has certain limitations and challenges. RO is universally ready technology. That is why it is getting used. Later on, they changed their mind. The government themselves, and I'm taking this point with the earlier speaker who said, it's the government's responsibility, municipality, to give good quality water, then why are people putting RO units there? But the reality is government is unable to give 24/7. Therefore, people are resorting to borewell water and alternative sources during certain seasons. And that time they need the RO. And therefore, they cannot do without an RO even under normal circumstances. So what we have done, we have given them a solution which says there will be a sensor. This is where technology is coming in. There will be a sensor. It will sense the raw water quality or the finished water quality, one of them. It will switch on and switch off the RO depending on the need. Okay. And therefore, the water will get optimized. But there are situations where you have to use RO, but keep it to a minimum. This is the best we could do. But the other side of the story is the RO companies are saying, look, if there is fluoride, which is beyond the limit, 400 ppm is a huge number for fluoride. With more than 2 ppm is a problem. So these are some challenges which we are looking at in terms of standardizing.
Chandra,
but I'll come back to you on this point.
Yeah. Any quick response, Chandra, very short one, to what Mr. Nandakumar is saying? Fluorides and, arsenic and all that.
There are tailor-made solutions, sir. Without RO, we can only knock out the fluoride or arsenic, thereby giving potable water.
Chandra, okay. Chandra, the question that let me just respond to what you said, that if it is known, then it is possible to put a solution. But what the government said is they don't know the variation that will come in because we are looking at some 5,000 schools or different geographies, standards.
Mr. Nandakumar, can you expand on, sorry, Chandra, 1 minute, if you don't mind. Mr. Nandakumar, can you respond to, can you expand on what you said on the sensors and, continuous monitor of quality of water?
Okay, see, what we have recommended is, since they said below 400 ppm, you do not need RO, but there are certain times in the year which we cannot predict now that the TDS will go beyond 400 to 500 and beyond. We don't want the school children to drink that quality of water suddenly. So we recommended, and they said 70 to 110 ppm or some range like that. Correct. Is optimum. Okay. Yeah. So we said we will put a sensor, TDS sensor, at the delivery of the RO or the delivery of the system. And if it goes below 70, then the RO will switch off.
Supposing I extended that, sorry to interrupt you, that is this monitor that you are talking of, or the sensor for TDS, instead of after the RO, supposing you had it before.
Yeah.
Now what happens is, now I'll go back to Chandra. If you had it like that, Chandra, and if the quality of water was under, let us say 500, 750, I'll say. TDS is not a challenge actually. TDS is not at all a norm for water quality, but I'm taking the argument further because of whatever. Now what happens for you? Sorry, I'll just finish the question. Now, what is the concern in a school or wherever? Is there arsenic in it? Is there fluoride in it? Or is there any other salts or, any heavy metals or whatever? Is there this same sensor, can we use it in a way that it tells us what we should do next as treatment. Over to you.
There are companies who are doing sensors which are element specific, but it has not become more scalable.
Correct.
Experiments are only going, it is not profound.
Okay.
But ironically or significantly, the along project where I am doing, the same problem comes up. During dry run, the TDS goes up. That is where we have come with natural solution what is readily available. By bringing in the rainwater, diluting the bore water permanently, making sure that it never shoots beyond 400 at any given point of time. That is where the difference is. Why should I bring IoT when nature can give you a solution?
Got that. So back to all of you. Indrani, you're also listening. Yes, Mr. Ravalji Apatao, please speak.
Hardness came into picture where beyond 150 ppm, chlorine toxicity is completely compromised. If I drink 400 ppm water, hardness I am talking, my flora will be better. In my dysentery, of course, that was 40 years ago, I benefited by drinking a tube well water. Number one. Number two, RO and all that we are talking, you see 2.5 to 3 kg centimeter square pressure consumes power. And power generation also takes water.
Yeah, fair enough.
It is not,
yeah,
it is not.
I'll leave that. I understand. But my question to you as a water scientist, Ravalji, is this. If we know the quality of water,
yes,
then what happens? Should I go with one hammer for a pin? RO is like a hammer for a pin.
No,
we don't need it all the time.
My only point, sir, we need 3 liters of water to drink per day. Maybe a liter or 2 more for my cooking. But the water, physiological water that life or cell takes, whether it's a bacterial cell or my body, is H3O. It's a protonated water, and protonated water demand of a 170 kg body mass is 6 ml. Arsenic and cadmium and all that is our industrial courtesy, modern civilization. And for that, we should go to sewage treatment plant. And why do we mix industrial plant?
Okay, clearly, back.
It's a cycle.
Yeah, I got that. See, to someone like Indrani or to even Deepak Vaikar, I will say this: since you both are, inhabiting other spaces where you can scout technologies like Mr. Nandakumar is doing, there is clearly potential, like Chandra said now, for somebody who comes with an invention, a simple product at a decent cost, 2,000-3,000 rupees, for continuous monitor of quality of water. Anyone wants to speak on that, please? And see, the ICCW, I'm sure will encourage it to the extent that they can.
Sir, I don't know what others do, but in along what we have done, we have drawn a 5-year plan clearly. Because when my first few filters were proving what I said, instead of just talking, we proved 200 individual households and 4 schools. We already sent the material, the 200 liter tank of the thing. The dilution was happening by using charcoal and lime, just coated with the nano coating, and naturally it is going to bring down the TDS and give them potable water. Second stage, I have clearly said during May, we will do the rainwater harvesting by digging up wells around the bore well, perforating it, closing it.
No, got that. No. My question to you, let's go back to others. Sorry, yeah, go on.
I'll tell you, sir. By doing this, we are also going to teach the local people with a handheld kit, which is just a titration using colorimetry, which is hardly 3,000 rupees, with which anybody can learn in 1 day's time. Gujarat government has also given to every panchayat in Gujarati. The same kit was there without using. I pulled it out, taught them in 1 day. They were able to understand.
Can I take you up on this, Chandra, if you don't mind?
They are going to monitor every once in 3 months the water quality and note it down. Educating the common man using simpler technologies is the only solution.
Wonderful. Supposing I asked you this question, Chandra, if you say yes, then we will ask our Sripati also.
Yeah.
If, let us say, we identified 100 homes in Chennai as a pilot, and this continuous monitoring system is set up in these 100 homes at this 2,000, 3,000, whatever money you're talking about, right? will you then be able to, at the end of, you have to preside over the project of monitoring it for that period of time with whatever frequency of such tests that you want to do, and be able to give to the WOW Action Forum your findings and the way forward. Is that a thing that we can ask you to do? It won't claim too much of your time, I promise you. Yes.
From ICCW, we will be able to work with Chandra on this and come to a logical understanding of how this could be taken up.
Lovely. One more closure. Chandra has to say yes, but he is not speaking. He's muted himself. Yes.
I said yes. I said yes. Sir, luckily, this technology was developed by IIT Madras, given to Tamil Nadu Water Board.
Oh, really?
The masters in the old technology. I would like to remind them that their technology is being used by Tamil Nadu Water Board, but not put in effective way. It is there with the, it is available from TWAD board only. I have not
for purposes of our for this project, what would you want to name this project, Chandra? You are the leader for it.
Sir, Hargar Jal Jaisa Hargar testing up. You keep anything, sir. Testing up.
Okay. Continuous water quality testing.
Women water warriors. That idea itself came with this only. Now we already identified 20 girls.
Got it.
To get trained, I am going there on March 1st week. These 20 school children are going to be taught. They will test the water, not me.
Jeet Kumar, you are listening. If you can tell us, let me tell the rest of you here who are continuing to be present. Thank you for your time. It's 7:15. It's 75 minutes. The thing is that Jeet Kumar Gupta from Chandigarh is also contemplating, thinking seriously about how he will start a WOW platform in Chandigarh. But he's waiting. We are trying to see how this can happen over time. Back to you, JK. You're listening to this conversation on how we can possibly further this whole idea of continuous water quality monitoring, CWQM. Is there something you would want to take up? We will see if there is any support that is required. We will look at it. JK.
I think, when I take the example of Chandigarh, they have a huge system of water supply, They have about 100 acres, for collecting raw material, raw water, which gets from canal, and then they treat it and do it, So they are already supposed to do processing of the raw water and put it in a finished water. So they are supplying to the entire city, So I think they, going to one school or another, that can be a problem. But once a city authority, and that too, beautiful city and everything, they are doing it. I think they should take the responsibility and they
interestingly, Mr. Nandakumar, what Jeet Kumar is saying helps us understand one more aspect of Chennai. Chennai's challenge is, unlike Chandigarh, which is, 100% on grid water. That is, they have no deficit of water. Right. In Chennai, 80 crore liters today comes from your that river there, as well as your 3 reservoirs, right? Chambarambakam and all that. You know all that. The other problem is that means nearly 100 crore liters, more than what your grid water supply is coming from groundwater. That is why in Chennai, you have a greater problem of having to do water quality testing than you have in, let us say, at Chandigarh. Would you want to respond to that, Mr. Nandakumar?
No, that is true. We need to design solutions based on the condition, geography of the location.
Correct.
And Chennai is not blessed with a very high volume of surface water.
Right.
Most cities in India are not, because whatever is there is polluted. So therefore, we need to develop solutions. Decentralized solutions is what Chennai will need. And we will need to, as what Chandra is saying, we'll need to pilot it in some few geographies and see how we can create a scalable model. Because the water quality will change, and based on that, you need to alter the system.
Lovely.
You cannot say one size fits all. So that is a challenge.
That's a very good closure.
We are able to.
Yeah, you're reiterating that commitment. Therefore, you're saying, and it's interesting that blessed technology came from IIT Madras. Therefore, you have every reason, like Sripati said, to have ICCW pursue it. Yes,
can I say?
Yes.
Can I say one word?
Yes, please.
So now we are in the water system. We have a SCADA. There is a system called SCADA, which is totally managing the water. its distribution, its supply. This is all automatic, and you don't need to go anywhere. They are sitting right there. Can an element of checking the quality can be inbuilt in SCADA? I think IIT Madras can help it and look at this. Then there is no point in going anywhere, checking it. Right and sitting there, you can immediately monitor that. I think SCADA could be an option, if we think so.
Yes. This system is already proposed by the Jal Jeevan Mission, and there are several startups. You said SCADA, but really we are looking at few parameters, real-time monitoring, which is pH, TDS, and residual chlorine. Okay, and locations which are known to have fluoride and arsenic, we are trying to add that, and in some places nitrate. There are a handful of parameters that they have given and said if these parameters are monitored at the central point, the source point, and at the distribution point, you just monitor the pressure and the flow, so you know that there is no wastage. And at the end of the line, the tail node, as they call the consumer node, we again have a flow and we have a residual chlorine there. So that ensures that the water quality is free of bacteria, and the TDS and all that should not change once it is. So this is the master plan of the Jal Jeevan Mission, and that is what the Orissa government has also implemented, that it's centralized supply, quality assured at the source, distribution managed through SCADA, and the source node, the furthest point should take care of the condition. If that is taken care of, all the intermediate points are taken care of. This is where we are, and this is getting implemented in villages first before they move to cities.
Add to what Mr. Nandakumar said, out of 300 participants who did this competition by Jal Shakti Nirman, 10 people are shortlisted, out of which 8 are still in the lab level. I don't even have done the prototype. Fortunately, 3 of the startups, I am doing the prototype for them, the manufacturable and scalable thing. Everybody have different ideas, but we are just looking, which is going to be affordable.
Yes, we have not heard Deepak Vaikar from Singapore. He has been listening quietly as he usually does. He's been a researcher. He has already offered to, work with whoever wants to work with him. Over to you, Deepak.
Okay, thank you very much, Hari. I think, as I mentioned right from the beginning, that I'm here to learn and trying to understand, and understanding the system is the most important part. I can only share because I'm living in Singapore for more than 25 years. We use tap water for drinking for all the time. Okay, so I agree with Kumar Gupta ji that municipality has their role. I think otherwise they are shirking their role. They must be made accountable. No doubt on that. That has to be there. And at the same time, like rightly you have mentioned, because if you want to have a distributed system, that can be also allowed. Okay, distributed responsibility, but then you fix up the accountability. Do not leave it in the such a big hole where aeroplane or even a big ship can pass through, and then you can say, oh, we have got rule, but no use of it. So here definitely I think if quality of water, somebody complains it, the officer in charge will be tasked. He will be accountable, and if he or she has not done the job properly, will face the sacking plus prosecution if needed, if there are loss of life is there. Okay, so that kind of system has to be there. There is no denying on that part. And why it is happening is, I think earlier you asked this question, Indiraji very well said, technology, who should do it, political, social. I think all stakeholders have to come together. You do not allow them to big rope to somebody but there because they are masters and politicians, and then tighten with the only some others one and do that one. So I think you need a proper system. And your role, you mentioned finding out a system in which there are activists, there are citizenry who are active, and they are really to monitor it, because they might say my source is very good, but in between, what kind of piping your system you are using it, where there is a leakage there, where the drain going into that, okay, all dirty water may be going in between, and by the time it reaches your home, it could be dirty water again. So you need definitely active citizenry monitoring. I agree with you that you need to monitor at various places and then show reliably, independently, okay, independently that it is a quality you are looking for. I'm sorry, I'm saying little bigger one. And that is where the students can come in. That is where projects should be given. That is where all activities can come in.
Got it.
And so I'm supportive of that.
Thank you,
For
Dr.
technology, you mentioned very quick. Give me 30 seconds only. I know.
Yeah.
Shortage of
Please.
time.
Not
Technology innovations we have to allow. Now there are two aspects. If it is a public good, public interest, then government must be accountable. They are the one who are accountable. Business people are not accountable. They'll just show. They'll say, "I bankrupt, go away." So whatever it is, public interest, water, public interest, energy, public interest, food, public interest, strong regulation, monitoring has to be there. So government can't shirk away. Okay, they can't say. Okay. And next comes because of our differential system, because we want to provide waters to those who can't afford. So we have to include some free water, and that is where the leakages come in. So I know that is the long one I said. Okay. Thank you very much for giving me
make
opportunity
sense,
to share.
therefore, yeah, thank you, Deepak. As Rick Bacon said about an hour ago, 6:17 on the chat box, he has said, as an anthropologist, I think we need to ask why multiple technological innovations have not got to be implemented. What are social, institutional, political conditions? That's what Deepak was referring to. What are social, institutional, political conditions that shape adoption of proven technologies, says Rick Bacon. Think about that, and we will put this up. You know how we capture some of these things as video extracts and so on, and it will come back to you all in some form or the other for you to think about it. I know that even those leaders who have exited, among the lot who are here, we'll all get to reading that. Over to you, Sripati.
Quickly sum up, since we are 7:24 now. Quickly
Correct.
sum up. RO could be one way forward for the actions to come in the coming fortnight. We will find out from Seshagiri and Bhargav Gopal and all the resident welfare associations on where to start. And this question of implementation challenge is the biggest challenge that we need to pass through or understand it first, rather than technologies that are available, technical solutions that are available. They're all, just to fill up the gaps. But the biggest gap that we are trying to bridge is the implementation challenge for this aspect of RO in a residential apartment complex across the city. And subtopic of this could be what would be the number of apartments, and do we have an apartment federation? We'll try and get to that number and try and see whether this kind of a federation also could come up in the city of Chennai. That would be the first point. And second point is we will have to find out ways of how the technology suggested by Chandra could be tried as a pilot across one apartment complex in Chennai. We will take the help of Chandra to see how this has to be taken up. As quickly as possible, I was trying to summarize the two actions that we are trying to bring out in the coming week. Not that all the actions that have been in the past week have been completed. Still, it is ongoing. It is in a process. Dr. UVK Rao and others, they have contributed immensely to this sessions. We are trying to connect with each other. Professor Janak Rajan and many of us, like Ashok Natarajan, from the day one, we are trying to get into an aspect of how hydrogeology. Somebody mentioned how lithology could be used in this context of groundwater and all that. Dr. Saravanan, we have been in touch with. We have got some data. In fact, we have got some data from him on the entire Chennai city, around 200 locations. He has got some data on borewells and all that. We are trying to examine something all this, and we will try and bring out some aspects in the next coming sessions. Over to you, Dr. Hari, if you want to.
No, only one more aspect, which I'm sure you remember. You're very organized on this. I had committed to giving you a reverse osmosis treatment and a map of risks and mitigates. I will ensure that it is also shared with you all in a way that you can then share with other members of.
That will be of great value. That will
I will certainly do that. Last word from you, Mr. Nandakumar. In response to what our Sripati just now said, see, this whole question of hydrology, how do I understand the contours of the city, since it is longitudinal, and what are the specific defined outcomes we can look for? Is there any such presentation that you can help that team curate, Saravanan and others curate, in a way that WOW 4 can have that?
Yes, it can be done. It will take some time. We have started the process. There is already some data available. I will need to discuss with Sripati offline and see when and how we can share this. It can be done.
No problem. I think anyone else who wants to speak? Rick, thank you for all those wonderful notes on the chat box. If you do want to speak, we have another 1 or 2 minutes for you, or we can close now.
Thank you for your patience, everybody. I don't know India, although I'm engaged with a project there, rainwater harvesting in Rajasthan. But I've become very, very conscious that rainwater harvesting isn't a new invention. It's been around for many years, but how you actually redesign it is accepted by institutions, well, the community, when there is so little trust. And we've seen some of that in this conversation, so little trust in the vendors, so little trust in politicians, so little trust in private business. How to make it work is a real challenge. It's a real challenge here in the USA where I'm based, but I've seen it close up in India as well. And I'm working with an individual who really does understand it. And I've used ethnographic eyes to really try and peel back what's going on, because it's not about the technology. Bad decisions have been made about technology, but really, why is it not working is a much bigger issue.
Got it. Wonderful.
Thank
Absolutely.
you.
You have sort of said all of this in your chat box, but it's a nice summary. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being here. Good morning to you, Rick Bacon, and good evening to all of you. I think we should close now and look forward. JK, thank you for being here. There are a lot more things. It would be nice to have you in each of these meetings because you lend a perspective from a city scale. And Chandra, of course, is coming from the bottom end of it, of the technology and the last mile, scale. You come at the beginning of the pipe, he comes at the end of the pipe, metaphorically. And of course, Sanjay Gupta.
Hariji, I would like to only submit, we are talking in a very general term, but each city has a different kind of pattern of water supply. Like in Chandigarh, groundwater is protected, and it's a government property. You cannot touch it, So there is no hand pump, there is nobody who can put it, and it is all the responsibility and role of the government to tap water. So that is what really, peculiar, that if you want to control the system, I think the groundwater needs to be secured.
Perfect.
And needs to be, safe and controlled by the government. That's what if I, want to put an underground or any hand pump, they'll find me and they will put me.
You see that this is the second time you're saying. In fact, we recorded this conversation in Water Voices also when you last spoke about it. Back to you. I'll ask this question not of Sripati, but of Mr. Nandakumar, if you don't mind. See, this whole issue, Chandigarh is the only state or city in the country today which has got this ban on use of groundwater. But if you look at Francophone parts of the world, any country which was originally either a French protectorate or a French colony, you go to Laos, for instance, you go to Morocco, which was a French protectorate. In France today, you cannot take water below, say, about 15 meters, 45 feet or so, 20 meters, I think they say in Rabat. Rabat is the capital of Morocco. Now, which is water, like JK is saying, water that belongs to, which is not at the ground level, is not water that you can use. It is not for private purpose because you own the land. Simply because you own the land, you cannot take water which is below at the deep aquifer level is what we must have as a law, as a rule. Somewhere in the next 1 year, if there is a way that people like Saravanan, Ashok Natarajan and others, as part of their hydrology study, can also recommend very, very strongly to the state government, not at the water utility level, but at the state government level, that this has to be a ban. I can give you a set of recommendations. I made one long years ago, maybe in 2012 or 13 for Karnataka after I saw something in Morocco. I can give you something like that in a way that, we can take this forward. Ms. Nandakumar, we are already at 7:32. I've overstepped time. Sorry about that.
My short point here is you can bring out a law, but how do you enforce it in India? That would be the biggest challenge. We already have a similar law for gold and oil, for example. You can't, just because you're sitting on a pot of gold, you can't use it. But and the other side of it is, if the government bans people from drawing water from the ground, then they have to provide the alternative. So if they do not have a valuable alternative, it might become a problem. But this is it is a policy matter, but enforcement of the policy also needs to be taken care of before it is implemented. This is being talked about. I think certainly we can start for industries. It's easier to implement. A company or a factory being set up cannot use groundwater that is below the ground simply because they're setting up. That is easier to implement. For a general public, it's going to be very, very hard when you can't even do many other things in place.
Very clear, very succinct. Leave it there. I think that's a closure for this evening. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend. Over to you, Sripati. Any closure notes?
Nothing specific. Whatever I have summarized, we are trying to make it actionable in the fortnight to come.
Lovely.
Previous actionable points are still in progress. We need to update the team on this. The aerators, the Rotarians' effort, and the best practices, the documentation, and all that.
Thank
one
you.
by one, we will try and put our efforts to
Lovely.
make this happen.
Lovely. Thanks a lot.
Dr.
Thank
Hari.
you.